Today's walk is the start of the Derwent Valley Heritage Trail, and this is the end of the Ladybower reservoir, and we're walking across the front of it and following this path along here. As we look down the face of the dam that creates the reservoir, we can see the river continuing its way. And as we reach the end of the dam, we see a post with numerous signs of various walks around here. We're going to be following the one near the bottom, mauve and yellow, the Derwent Valley Heritage Way. Last night I stayed in Sheffield, and this morning I took a 30-minute bus ride out to the start at Ladybower. And when we end at Baslow, it's fairly straightforward to get a bus back into Sheffield, where there's so much choice of accommodation. There's some wonderful open countryside around here. Alongside this trail, I've noticed a number of these carved animals. Along here is the easy trail we're walking. It's fairly flat. I'm guessing it probably used to be an old railway track because it's so even. At the 1.5 mile mark, this notice board tells us that we've just passed through the Thornhill Cars Nature Reserve. An interesting sign as we get close to the 2 mile mark, and they even have their own car park. And close by is this old and large house which is labelled as the Quaker Community. There are some signs, but not everywhere. You probably will need a map or a GPS to be sure of your path. At the 3 mile mark, we're in a place called Hope Valley. We're working our way along this track beside the field, and down this bank beneath us is the river, and on our right, as you can probably hear, are a number of sheep. There are some nice views as we walk alongside the river. You may notice though that it's raining quite hard at the moment, but that was forecast. Well, at 4 miles the rain has stopped. We're walking along this riverbank with the river on our left, and we're surrounded by these wonderful hills. Well, on the 5 mile mark I've stopped at this conveniently placed bench for my lunch. And we'll just spare a thought for George Hagan, 1905 to 1996. This bench was placed here by his walking friends. Good old George. Lying beside the path is this bit of stone, which clearly looks as if it came off a rather grand building at one time. It's now lying on its side. The path is now stretching ahead of us across the field. The river is across on the right hand side. We crossed it at the last road junction. Coming up to the 8-mile mark, we've passed through the small village of Grindleford. We now appear to be going through a conservation area. Our path continues up this way. Various signs encourage us to stay to the marked path and not wander off it. We're still finding the purple and yellow signs, but not everywhere, not to be totally relied upon to guide you along this path. Now heading into another section owned by the National Trust, Horse Hay Coppice. Now into Froggatt Wood, again part of National Trust. The National Trust over the years has done a lot of good by preserving properties, owning land for the national good. Sadly, last few years it seems to have been taken over by a few fruitcakes who are more intent on politicising it with a woke agenda. Hopefully it'll get back onto the right path soon and stick to conserving land and properties for the nation. Well, looking at those clouds, I think we're in for a bit more rain. I'll just show you now the sort of countryside we're walking through. These lovely hills. Got a few farms tucked away on the hillsides there. Lovely countryside. Really enjoyable walking here. Well, we're somewhere over the 8.5-mile mark. Nice path here with these large stones. Particularly in the winter, we'll be very grateful for them because this will be a very muddy track, I suspect. Makes the going easy. I'm looking across the hillside at a grand house, or at least once upon a time it was a grand house. Well, we're back with the river again. We're crossing over on a small road bridge. There's barely any movement at all on the river at this point. It's just coming up to the 12-mile mark. We've come down from that direction. You see there's quite a large weir there, although we couldn't see it as we passed it because of all the trees. And crossing over the river we can see the Derwent continuing its way downwards. Well, I've reached the town of Baslow. This is the main church. It's just on the 12 miles from when we started at the reservoir. I'm going to call this a break today. Busy little street here. The walk has been fine. It's pretty flat all the way. Signposting isn't reliable. You will need to have a map or a GPS because in some places it's just simply missing. The weather's not been ideal today. We've had intermittent showers, so you've not seen it as clear and as beautiful as it can be. But it's been an excellent walk. I really enjoyed it, and hopefully I'll shortly pick up the next section. Till the next time.